Oh, hey, and welcome to Kyle. Now, hold on. I know it's not a busty fan service, girl, but hear me out. Kyle deserves love too, okay? This is necessary for personal character development. Anyways, welcome to my Kyle guide. I'm gonna be going over how this god works, and for the people who want to play him and don't really understand him, this is definitely for you. So for this video, I'm not going to be in the practice range showing off abilities, mostly because you have to take damage as this character. Wow, who would have guessed a tank has to take damage? But also, it just looks prettier out here. I mean, look at these mountains. Can you consider these mountains? I don't know. Look at these rocks. There ain't nothing better than Kyle and some rocks. Anyways, let's get into how to play this guy. So Kyle is another resource-based character where... Is there any character that's not resource-based in all honesty? Yesa, I guess? Okay. Kyle is another resource-based character where you have to play around gaining and using specific resource on him. That's it, and the guide. Kidding. So just like my last video, I'm gonna go over the skills and then we'll go in depth on the details of the skills in the second half of the video. So to show off Kyle's first skill, this is gonna be like your baby resource gaining skill, if that makes sense. You're not gonna get a lot of resource off this skill, but it's gonna get you started. So Kyle's first skill is a dash forward that knocks enemies back as well as gives him a boost to defense. So with this skill, you also have 3 charges, which means you can use it 3 times back to back. As well, this will gain you a little bit of resource when you use it, only if you actually do damage with it. If you don't do damage with the skill, you will not gain resource. So as you can see, hit and knocked enemies back, got some resource at the bottom, and you can see the little defense buff that popped up on the left there. So this is going to be your quick use resource gaining skill. Let me just get rid of those. To simplify, Kyle's first ability, dash forward, do damage, get resource, and boost up your defense. Now moving on to the second skill, this is going to be your shield. So keep in mind when I'm talking about the second ability, when I refer to second ability, I mean the shield itself. And when I say shields, I'm referring to your character's shields. So Kyle's second ability is based off of your max shield. That being said, when you use the second ability, your max shield will decrease by a percentage for the entire duration that the shield is up. Now there's 2 important things to the shield. 1, it blocks range damage, which is very useful in particular fights. And 2, for every damage you take, you gain resource, which can stack up pretty quick and get you to using your more damaging skills. It'd be easier to just see it. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just under half for a resource. I'm trying not to get hit here so I don't lose my shield. So once I use my second ability, you'll see that my shield starts to decrease, but you'll also see my resource start to go up. Based on the amount of damage that the second ability takes, your resource goes up. So, moving on. So Kyle's third ability is going to be your kind of grinding, farming AoE ability. So to simplify it, once you use the ability, it will consume resource instead of health and shield when taking damage, and it will detonate in one of 2 ways. Either you run out of resource or you use the skill again. So we are almost full on our resource, which isn't a big deal. I'm going to stand in the middle here with the skill active, and you'll see that that decreases and explodes. So just to show it again, I'm going to use the ability, and once I run out, it detonates. So the third ability is pretty straightforward. You take damage and you blow up. And finally, moving on to the fourth ability. So this is going to be your flying ability. Pretty much you launch into the air and you fly towards a target. You deal damage based on the amount of resource you have. So if you have half, you'll do half of the max damage you can do. If you're full, you'll be doing a lot more damage. Using your fourth ability will consume your entire resource bar, so just keep that in mind. If I had a nickel for every time I used the laboratory, I'd have 2 nickels. And just to show the fourth ability at full power, it's going to use it here. As well, knocking back enemies and doing a fair amount of damage. So So just to look at the stats of the first ability, again, you have 3 maximum stacks of it. Each stack has a 12-second cooldown. Now, that doesn't mean you have to wait 12 seconds in between each use. You just have to wait 12 seconds for the next stack to build back up. Now just going over the main stats. The damage dealt is based off your skill power, and the magnetic force recovery, or your resource gain, is going to be 30% of your max shield. Now after using the skill, your defense is going to be increased by 150% for 5 seconds. Moving on to a second skill. So the cost of the skill is going to be 5% of your max shield with a cost interval of 1 second. What this means is every second your second ability is active, it is going to be using 5% of your max shield. Now the base duration on this ability is 8 seconds, so you can pretty much consider it as a base 40% of your max shield used if you're to use it for the entire duration. Now the health pool on the shield is going to be 50% of the caster's max shield, and the defense or damage negation of the shield is going to be 100% of the caster's defense or your character's defense. And finally, the magnetic force recovery on the shield, or the amount of resource you get, is going to be 100% of enemy damage. So pretty much every 1 damage the enemy does is going to be 1 resource. Now going to the third skill, it is a 15-second cooldown. You have a magnetic force cost interval and a base cost. So again, it's 1 second, and it's going to be 2% of your max magnetic force per second. That is going to be your cost for just passively having the skill active. Now moving on to the damage, it's going to be 702.8% of your skill power plus an additional 508.6% of consumed magnetic force. The more resource you use, the more damage the skill will do. A neat passive on the third ability as well that I haven't mentioned yet is the ally shield recovery. So when the skill ends, similar to the first skill where it increases your defense, the third skill will restore shields to nearby allies proportionate to your max shield. So you'll be recovering 100% of your max shield to your allies. And moving on to the fourth skill. So this is going to be a full 60-second cooldown with a minimum use condition of at least 30% magnetic force. Your damage is going to be based on your skill power. Now this is a 11,207.7% modifier to your skill power, plus the additional 7,809.8% of consumed magnetic force. As well, on this skill, there is a 6-second duration that you can be in the air. Now, I noticed that that's not buffed at all, even though I have a duration reactor on. So that's going to be a flat duration. That doesn't seem like something you can increase. So just keep that in mind, that duration is not applied to your fourth skill. And finally, just taking a quick look at the passive, your resource or magnetic force is going to be 200% of your max shield. Kyle is very focused on max shield. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. For anybody planning to build them, Kyle is very focused on max shield. Now, the decrease out of combat is going to be 1% of your max magnetic force every second. So you will be losing 1% of your resource every second. You are not gaining it. So just make sure to use it if you have it, because why not? Once your player's shield is fully consumed, you will activate the passive Magnetic Care. Magnetic Care has a 10-second duration, which can be influenced by duration buffs. It has a recovery interval of 1 second, so this will be 8% of your max shield and resource every second for 10 seconds. And that is going to be it for my Kyle guide. If there's any information that I missed or any additional tips and tricks that you may have for Kyle, do leave a comment below and let me know and help each other out. I do hope you enjoy them as much as I enjoy making them. And if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more of videos like these, because I do plan on making more. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!